I'm checking my input settings way too late, but my waveform has looked fine, so I'm sure it's okay. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
I'm Maddy Grace Webley.
And today we'll be playing part 5 of Anachronox, covering the portion of the game that takes place on Hephaestus. But before we get into all of that, how was everyone's week?
My week is, it's going. I've managed to make a bit of progress in the big assignment I have to do for the online course I'm taking so that I can work in a new career. It's a big, difficult assignment, but I'm making some progress. And also, I saw Lupin the Third, the First in theaters, in a theater with me and my friend and like 2 other people because it was a Fathom event and that's how those go.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good.
That's that new CG one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of weird that it's CG because, like, they went to such great lengths to make it feel exactly like the 2D animation. Everyone moves exactly as you would expect them to move and stuff. So I'm like, it looks great, but I kind of feel like there wasn't much point in making it CG instead of 2D.
Well, it's time and money.
Probably significantly cheaper, yeah.
Yeah. Not much. It doesn't seem to have much artistic point, though, even though it did look great and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it's because CG animators aren't union, but neither are 2D animators. So that is why you see more CG than practical effects nowadays. So it's not just that it's cheaper; it's that all the people who do like all the people who do like squibs and matte backgrounds and miniatures and wire work, they're all unionized. So it's a whole lot cheaper to not have to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you get things where like sitcoms that shoot on location will throw up huge green screens instead of like renting out the block or whatever, because it's way cheaper to hire an artist to do the thing than it is to
get someone off of Fiverr.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say that Lupin the Third, the First is the only CG anime that I think looks good. I think most of the other ones look like hot garbage, and I've
seen
been
a
wanting to
couple
watch this
that looked bad. So if this one looks good, then I agree. It is the only one.
It does look good.
Yeah, because
everyone's really hot.
I was really into Cyborg 009 when it was remade in the early 2000s. That version, I freaking loved
that was
it.
a good show.
I got like the first 2 volumes on DVD and I wore them out until they didn't work anymore, and it was awesome. So when Netflix was like, hey, sequel series to Cyborg 009, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm all about this. And I turned it on and it was CG garbage and none of it looked even close to what it was supposed to, and it made me really, really mad.
Boo.
Boo. What about you, Maddy? How was your week?
Oh boy. So last night I worked a double shift at UPS for the first time. So like about 10 and a half hours of hard labor. I handled it just fine. When I was having through my second shift, I thought to myself, man, I feel the same way I always do halfway through my second shift, or halfway through my shift, except the difference is that I've been working for 7.5 hours instead of 2.5. But I feel the same. One thing, if this job's taught me one thing, this job's taught me a lot of things, but this job's taught me one thing, it's that the limitations and abilities of the human body are very flexible. And that if you have to do something, oftentimes you find that you can do it. And I mean, I've learned that in other ways in my life as well, emotionally, mentally, but now I'm learning it physically. So yeah, it was really no huge deal. I got through it just fine. Felt like a normal day. By the time it was done and I went home, I was kind of like, I could just keep going, man. I could do 2, 3, 4 more hours. I'm having a good time. Except my headphones died, which is one reason why I wasn't having as much of a good time by the end. So that's an issue. The limitations of the human body may be flexible, but limitations of a headphone battery, Bluetooth headphone battery, are not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went home. Now I was thinking to myself, even though that was actually relatively chill, I feel like I'm gonna die tomorrow, and I was right. Everything hurts, but I do have a 3-day weekend because of good old Labor Day. Not the real Labor Day, the fake American Labor Day, but it is still a day off, so no complaints here.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the most exciting thing. Also, there's something else going on that I was going to tell y'all off the record, but then Sam got here late and then we immediately started recording, so I might tell y'all later. It's quite interesting. It's an issue I'm having it, more private issue that I'm having at work.
Nice.
Other than that, I don't even know what even did I do. Who fucking knows? Oh, that's right. My brain decided it wasn't going to be working good at all for like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So the things that I was going to get done, I didn't, and that made me really stressed out and feel like a loser dummy. For very obvious reasons, I think. Yeah. And also, fuck Walgreens.
Yeah.
God, I'm trying to switch from pills to injections for my hormones, which is exciting and fun. I got the prescription probably almost a month ago at this point, and then submitted it to Walgreens, and it's been weeks of literally just like, I call them, and they're like, oh, hey, there's an issue with your insurance, so we need you to give us all of your insurance info since you don't have it because you've got new insurance. And I'm like, yeah, cool, chill. Here's all the numbers. And they're like, cool. And I'm like, so can I come get it now? They're like, oh, no, we hadn't ordered it yet. And I'm like, okay, well, are you going to order it now? And they're like, yeah, it should be here in like 2 or 3 days. And then like a week later, I'll call them and be like, hey, what's going on? It says on the website that it's not there yet. And they're like, what's not there yet? And they'll be like, oh, there's an issue with the insurance. Give us all these numbers. And I'm like, it's a different worker. I'm not going to whine. I don't want to be mean to this poor worker. So I give them the same numbers I gave them last week. And they're like, cool, we'll order it now. And I'm like, did you just not order it first time? And then finally, yesterday, I called them. It has still not arrived. And they don't give me the insurance runaround this time. But they are just like, yeah, they don't have it. We'll have to order it. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, it'll be here in like 2 days or 3 days. And I'm just like, okay. I actually stopped them, and in the nicest way possible. I was like, so like, I've been waiting for like 2 weeks to get this medicine, and it keeps not happening. So like, is there a supply issue? Is something going wrong with wherever y'all get this from? Is there any way you could find out if there's an issue? Because just, otherwise you just say you're going to order it and it doesn't happen. And the lady was like, you know what? Let me see if I can talk to somebody. So she goes and talks to somebody. And then she said like something like the warehouse where we get it like actually is out. Like there is not any actually. So then she went and called some other people. Eventually, she was like, okay, I did in fact find a supplier nearby that does in fact actually for sure have it. And it'll be here in like 2 or 3 days. And part of me is like, I've heard this before.
Right.
But the other part of me is like, that lady was gone for a long time talking to people and very much seemed like she really did want to help me. So I bet we're good. But like, I don't know, what if this was like insulin or something, right? Like, yeah, it's just juice to make my tits big, but it's still important. And if you're, first of all, I ran out of hormones because I didn't get more pills because I was getting injections instead. So I ran out of pills, and I had to borrow some from my friend, but I didn't borrow too many because I didn't want to be a jerk, and I figured I would have it by now. And now I'm having to ration them, and in order to get myself to like next Tuesday. And when your hormones get off, it really messes with you. Actually, it doesn't mess with me. It doesn't mess with me too much. I'm a little bit resilient. But like my some of my friends, like they get super depressed if their hormones are off, or it totally messes with their mental capacities. Get super emotional in various ways. So it's just like, man, like I don't know. You can't just. You're a pharmacy. You have one job, and that's to acquire the medicine that I need. And it's been 3 entire weeks. And if you can't get the medicine that I need, you should just tell me that you can't get it, and I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And like my I was going. So the numbers I have for my insurance, I got from my union person, because my actual card with all the numbers on it hadn't arrived in the mail yet. So I just got them from her, right? But it finally did get here in the mail, like about a week ago. And it got here in the mail, and it turns out that they do, the company that does this prescriptions insurance, also does mail order. And I was like, ooh, I could just do mail order for this. But I was like, well, I'm sure that the Walgreens is going to be ready in like 2 or 3 days. So it would be faster to just do that, and I'll do mail for next time. And now, a week later, I'm like, I should have just called Walgreens and said never mind, and then ordered the shit online. Like, anyway, yeah, and the problem is, you don't know who to be mad at. I don't want to be mad at the sweet the 3 different pharmacists who were just trying to help. And I'm sure whoever they were calling and telling them to send the medicine, I'm sure they were doing their best. But somewhere along the line, the system is not working, and it is making my life very difficult.
That blows.
Yeah, total. Like, I think it's. I don't need to check, but I think if I went and checked my Kaiser Permanente account, I would find out that the prescription was literally a month ago. Also, they told me that the syringes and the needles are going to be $12, when I'm pretty sure they should be free. But once I actually get to the pharmacy, I'll see if they're actually free, and if they're not, I'll give them someone to call and talk to, because it should be $0. That's why I'm working at UPS.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my day.
Yeah, I similarly had bureaucracy fuck me this week. So the first was my first day at my new job, and my new job is great. Except so you know how normally
wait, isn't your new job just your old job, except you're not a temp anymore?
Yes. So the people in charge of my various bureaucracies have changed, and those are what I have beef with.
So that's why it's a new job, because it's the same position, but actually it's doing different shit now.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, so just payroll stuff is all different, and it's
gotcha. Sorry, I just wanted clarification.
So my new job does a real dumb thing where so I get paid bi-monthly, 1st and 15th, or last day and 15th, but still.
Yeah.
And the dumb thing that they do is, most of the time, if it's 1st and 15th, the Sunday before those things is when the pay period ends, and so you get your shit in by Monday at 10. They approve it, and then you get paid on the 15th. Here, the deadline for all that stuff is the previous payday. So my stuff for the 15th, I have to turn in by the 1st, which again isn't such a big deal, except since this is a new position, I don't get paid until the end of the month. However, I get paid from my last job and COVID bucks, so the number of dollars coming in is okay. I also have a lot of, because I've been paying down my credit, so I have a lot of available credit instead of it just being bills every month. Like, I have the ability to let Future Sam pay for some things. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. I'll get my pause the future story, backing up to other bureaucracy stuff. So my final paycheck at my old place was is a live check, which means they mail it out to me, which always sucks because the mail takes like 6 fucking days. And so instead of getting paid on payday, I get paid whenever the mail guy feels like it. And that's super annoying. So, at that job, I got paid weekly. And so my last week of work, I worked 2 days. So I'm like, I don't care about that extra $200 that'll be showing up sometime next week. I'll get paid on my normal day, which happened to be the 1st, which is when rent is due. And I'll pay rent there, use my credit card to last me until the 15th, use COVID bucks to last me until the 30th, and then I'll be on my new pay schedule and everything will work out fine. September will suck, but it'll be okay. So without telling me, without anything, my last job decided, you know what, since he's only getting $200 for that little half week, we're going to send a live check for both of them, and we're not going to tell them. And so because I was expecting it on the 1st and rent is late after the 5th, it hasn't shown up yet. The 5th is tomorrow. Monday is a holiday, so even if I got it today, I would not process until Wednesday. So I'm probably going to have to pay late fees and all this garbage, and the eviction moratorium is gone. So like, it's scary that I have to pay late fees and all of that jazz. And it's just like, these fucking bureaucracies suck. Like, I should be getting paid on the 15th for the work I do up until the 10th or whatever, and I should have gotten direct deposit, and all of these things are making my September really stressful. New job rules, though. Love it. Love everything about it is great. 100% of my benefits are paid. I get 4 weeks paid vacation. Like, everything is great. It's like a $500 a month raise is what I ended up getting, and it's fucking great and awesome, and it will be that in October. September sucks, and I'm mad at everyone.
That's rough. I was gonna say I could probably like spot you or something, but then I realized it's a weekend, and transferring the money would take the same amount of time as you getting paid. So, never mind. I can't. Yeah, that's not a thing. Speaking of that, it is September now. August was the longest month in the history of the world for me.
It really
at least.
was.
For me, I wasn't employed for most of it, so it just went by very quickly.
I cannot believe, I cannot believe how different my entire life situation is than it was literally 1 month ago. It's pretty whack, personally, but. No, on to September. September. Oh wait, actually, y'all might have noticed that there's a lot of bad things happening. And I'm not going to talk about them because who gives a shit? I mean, I do give a shit, but whatever. We're here to talk about video games. But I did say to someone, because this happened in my own life a few years ago. Here it is. Someone was like, man, it's so crazy that all the crazy stuff's happening in Texas and New York, but also, at the same time, XYZ happened in my own life, which also sucks. And I said, you know what I always say? If it ain't a concurrence of external and internal apocalypses, it ain't September. So, welcome to September, everybody. Let's hope that it's a good one.
Speaking of apocalypses, let's talk about the plot this week. Because we learn about 3 simultaneous apocalypses.
We sure do. First, we've got to listen to some music real quick, and I'm going to briefly step out and get a refill of coffee, because it turns out I already drank all the coffee, and now I need more coffee.
So last time we went and got the thingamajiggers for Row, and now we had to do Krumpos's quest. Grumpos says that he is super close to figuring out the Mysterium Elementor, and his answers are on Hephaestus, which is a big old church planet where there's a church dedicated to studying Mystech called the Church of Mysterium. And if we can get there and talk to the Grand Mysterium, we can figure out how to access the Elementor real good and hopefully get some help with the future universe problem that we have.
You know what that means, folks. Time to go to another planet full of annoying weirdos.
Yep. So we hop on our ship to Hephaestus. I was freaking out for a second because remember the first time we got to Cinder Station and we had to go to a particular place, we had to buy a ticket and the guy wouldn't sell us a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured I wouldn't have to go and do NPC adventuring stuff, but I figured I would have to buy the ticket, and that guy is not in the ticket booth. So I was like, what the hell? What am I supposed to do? And so I just walked around, happened to wander into the correct one, because now you just talk to literally any of the boats and they'll take you to wherever you want to. But I was scared for a while.
Nice.
So we get on the boat to Hephaestus, and everything is churchy, but it still has slums and an entertainment district because this is still a cyberpunk future hellhole. The party decides to split up, and you're required to bring Grumpos and one other person. I brought Stiletto because I wanted to use the new party member. And Sly, the point that they're trying to do is get into the tower because the tower's doesn't allow outside visitors, and so they split up to try and find a way inside. If this was a longer episode, this whole basically everything would be memorable moments, and I would just skip over it. But since this is all we played, we'll play by play it. So as Boots playing by herself, you can find a robot that's in charge of the like maintenance and deliveries for the tower, so you can distract him and get on board his train and get into the tower itself. That backfires immediately, and we are caught right away. And so the abbot, the leader of the church there, sentences us to work in a super dangerous part of the tower called the Mysterium Levant. And we're like, I don't want to do that. That sounds like deadly. What if I do something for you instead? And the abbot's like, well, we did just get robbed and you are a detective. So detect for us and then I'll get you what you want. And Boots is like, okay, does that let me get into the library? And he goes, oh, no, that just gets you not dead. He's like, okay, what do I do to get in the library? They're like, go do this really plot unimportant, we just like filler puzzle dungeon. It's actually really cool. I really like the puzzle dungeon, but literally nothing happens in it. So go and do that and get us a radioactive thing. So we do. So for the Sleuthin part of our play this week, I found out while looking through the guide that this is all randomized, which is really cool. So this might not line up with everything that we're doing, but I broke it down into the main beats, so it should still make sense. Mm-hmm. But you go and investigate the crime scene, and there's some dirt there. You go and tell the abbot, hey, I found the dirt. And he's like, I thought you were a fucking detective. You didn't find like fingerprints. You didn't find anything. You just saw some dirt and called it a day. He's like, well, Norman Malloy is a troublemaker around these parts. He's somewhere that's random. So go and talk to him and blame him. And we're like, definitely will do. So we go to talk to Norman, and Norman is like, hey, it is not me. It is Sister Angela who did it, and
it wasn't her.
And Sister Angela is also randomized, I think. She seems kind of important, so maybe she's not randomized, but it feels like she's random. So you go to talk to her, and she's like, and like every person, it's like a kind of like a demon negotiation where you're trying to get information out of them. And so it's a long, like, back and forth in the text boxes. And so the main thing you ask everybody is, do they recognize the dirt? Some of them have just like a circumstantial reference to it. Some of them have never seen it, but every person does end up saying, "Oh, don't ask me. You should go ask so and so." So Sister Angela sends you to Brother Lysaria, who then sends you to Thomas Litton. And I don't know if it's all the names are always different, or their position, or who they are. But one of them is a Mystech seller, and everyone there basically thinks that they are only pretending to be a part of the church so that they can steal artifacts and sell it. And that happened to be who mine was.
Mystech seller?
Yeah.
I'm going into battle, and I require your finest Mystex.
So you eventually get pointed all the way to the librarian, who confirms that the dirt from the tram and the crime scene are the same. So you go back to the tram and you accuse the guy there, and he's like, look, I did steal them, but I was hired by somebody. Like, please don't send me to jail. You want the person that's actually benefiting from it. You trying to get them back. Please leave. Don't hurt me. So the person that he was working for is also random, which is cool, but they are always in the same place. So it's like the name of them is different. But so you go and grab your non-Grumpos party member. For me, it was Stiletto, and you go back to the person and you distract them at the Boots distracts them at the door, inviting them to a party on mine, and then Stiletto sneaks out through the window nearby to crawl along the outside, and then search his apartment for incriminating evidence. She finds a note that says that he has an accomplice who he says in the note, you better not be getting drunk off your ass at the eco bar like you always are. So we go to the eco bar to find him drinking off his ass. So we buy him some more drinks, and he gets real sloshy and is
but that's the opposite of what you're supposed to do when someone's drinking too much at a bar.
Yeah, but we're not good people. We are JRPG heroes, but we are not good people. And
honestly, might honestly, on average, on balance, in the final analysis, maybe some of the morally worst JRPG heroes of all time. Honestly, just across the board. Not that they're all bad. I'm saying if you average them all out, it's like very, very low degree of upstanding moral virtue in this JRPG party. Yeah. And I don't just mean because they'll do shit like this to get their goals. I'm saying most of their goals aren't particularly virtuous either. Like,
yeah, the reason we're here is not hey, we need to save the universe. We found that out after starting this goal. The goal was, hey, Boots, come with me. We'll make a lot of money if we level up our magic, and then we can sell that and make even more money. That's why we're here.
Exactly.
So, we after buying the guy a drink, he's like, "Yeah, I don't remember a lot, but I made sure I remembered my room number, which is room 3. The door's locked, and I don't know where my keys are, but I at least know where my room is." And since we are a master lockpick now, it doesn't bother us. So we just go in and retrieve the keys. A funny thing is we're not allowed to touch them. And I don't know if they wrote this in to be I don't know why it would be a technical limitation, or if they just were cute or whatever, but we can't actually touch the keys. We just find them and are like, cool, know where they are. And then we go and we tell the abbot where they are. So he's like, okay, fine, you can go into the library to research. So we get Grumpos, and he comes in and he reads basically every book there, and he gets real upset. He was like all these people are here studying quote unquote mistech, but they're all studying it via religion and none of it by science. So like no person has tried to understand how they work. Their studies of it are all theological in nature. And he's like, it's a fucking dead end. I'll never unlock this. And he smashes his hand down in frustration, which smushes a bug onto the thing, which activates the mistech because, it wasn't enough that we use glowing mice as our MP restoratives, but now we collect bugs to fill up our orbment, which is fun. So,
I mean, personally, mice are cute and all, but fuck bugs.
Right.
There has been vague stuff where like people are talking about how the bugs are attracted here and the bugs seem to be attracted to mistech and stuff, but it's still very stupid.
Yeah. So we get the team all back together and we go to talk to the abbot to demand to see the mistech pope, but he instead locks us in the Mysterium Levant anyways. And he's like, someone sabotaged the pump deep inside. These doors don't unlock from both sides. So you're basically stuck here unless you go and do this one last thing for me. I felt like me, an idiot, listened to an RPG church member who said, hey, all you have to do is A, B, and C. And I believed him without realizing, of course, they're up to no good and they have to reveal their evil hand at some point. And so I thought I was done for the week and I was getting ready to start recording. And then they're like, hey, here's a big ass dungeon to go and do instead. So I watched the cutscenes for the rest of it. So if I skip anything important, tell me. I probably didn't because it's just a big old dungeon.
You didn't.
So we do a big old dungeon and we fight a big old magma bug at the end of it. The end. So after we beat the magma bug, we fixed the pump or whatever it is that they needed us to do. So they finally let us go talk to the Grand Mysterium. But they only let boots in. They don't let everyone in. Only one person can go in at a time. So then the cutscene that follows is adorable because we're seeing it as a regular cutscene, but diegetically it's Boots telling everyone what happened. So everyone keeps interrupting and asking questions. And Boots is like, I'm getting there. And it's adorable. So the scene involves us talking to the Pope and we're like, hey, we solved one of your 9 enigmas, which is like a central tenet of your faith. We know where mistech comes from. And he's like, you silly idiot. That's the one that we already know. And let me tell you everything that I know now. And so apparently chaos and order are the two gods of the future universe that hasn't happened yet, that has been sending stuff back to fuck us up. And order banished chaos to our universe, so chaos is mad about it and he's fucking shit up. So chaos is trying to get to the previous universe. Once he's there, he can alter the future enough to make our universe never happen, because if our universe never happens, then neither does the future universe. So he'll get a one-up on order and can go and live his chaosy, destructive life.
Basically the plot of Final Fantasy 1.
I haven't actually beaten Final Fantasy 1.
Okay. Just so
you know how there's no plot in Final Fantasy 1? There certainly is at the ending.
Yeah, just so y'all know, I'm not actually just making shit up. Final Fantasy 1 is, I don't know how many hours it is long, but first of all, it's not a great game, so you don't need to play it anyway. But 95% of the game is just going on fetch quests to get the next thing that you need to, like, get the MacGuffin or get a ship or do a class change. And then literally, remember how at the very beginning you fight Garland in his little castle? You have a little intro scene?
Uh-huh.
Well, at the very end of the game, you go into a little forest with a bunch of, like, ancient wizards standing in a circle, and they tell you the whole plot of the game. And basically, it literally is that Garland is actually this dude named Chaos, and it does involve literally chaos going back into the past in order to do a complicated time loop to defeat some other guy.
Wow.
So it's actually very similar to this plot here.
Nice.
It's basically like, yeah, the four fiends that you had to fight, they're like from the past, but Garland is from the future. And he has this time loop where he goes into the past and transports them into the future. That way, and then they send him back into the past, thus making a loop. So even though you killed the fiends, you've killed these versions of them, but the whole point is that Garland then later goes back to the past and gets the past versions and sends them forward so that they're not dead anymore. And it's this whole fucking thing. And anyway, as you said in the chat, I have to kill Chaos.
Yeah. See, I didn't know enough about Final Fantasy 1, but I made the joke about Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, and that was how I was going to end the episode. So, yeah, that's what we got to do is go kill Chaos. So, Boots is like, why didn't Order send us any like reinforcements or anything? Like, how do we go kill a god? And he's like, oh, well, Order sent back Mistech. Mistech is matter from the future universe that gives the chosen ones superpowers. And we're like, oh, since we can use the Mistech to give ourselves superpowers, then we rule, and we did it. So we are the chosen ones. So Boots decides that he is going to be a JRPG hero and go and kill a god. And in my notes, I said, leading to the events of Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, which we will play next week. Wouldn't it be hilarious if we just...
that game looks fucking great.
Yeah, I didn't play the demo, but it looks great.
Yeah,
wait, is the demo on PS4 or just PS5?
PS5.
There used to be a demo.
Yeah, it was one of those timed ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that it looked real good, and then a lot of people were like, oh, it looks like it'll be real bad, and then the launch of the demo was like garbage. But then when you actually could play it, everyone was like, oh wait, no, this game fucking rules. This game's going to be legit. And so it might be my first Soulsborne game. I might
also,
actually...
people are all like, oh, the character designs aren't good. What the heck, Tetsuya? No, I'm sorry. You don't understand fashion. Those boys are dripped up. Some people don't understand that fashion doesn't have to mean having a billion little dangly things. Mm-hmm. Fashion can be wearing some cool clothes that a person on the street might wear. I think the main character's fit is a little bit too low key, maybe. But no, they're dripped up. Tetsuya Nomura has his fingers on the fucking pulse. And he's always 10 years ahead of everyone else. So remember back when we used to think he was dumb in like 2002, and then a decade later we realized that he was always good. Same thing.
Yeah, and everyone who played the demo, it's a dress sphere system anyways. So like the different weapons and loadouts that you do change your outfit. So it's just kind of like in Final Fantasy 14.
Are they all still like low-key hip street clothes though?
I don't remember. I know one of them is Amano weird canon clothing for Final Fantasy 1 hero.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
But I was saying it's him being in the t-shirt and jeans look is kind of like the canon look of the Final Fantasy 14 protagonist, just being some guy and nothing really special about him. It's kind of the same thing here. It's like, oh, this is the default look, but when you get to this point of the game, you will not have the default look. You will have whatever your loadout is.
Yeah, I found it hilarious how for the original box art for Final Fantasy XIV, it's just an extreme close-up of an extremely nondescript guy's face looking a little angry. And like now they'll have shit like people riding on chocobos or a black mage doing some magic or something. But no, originally it's just, we got a guy and he looks a little angry. That's all you need to know.
So like on one hand, what you're saying makes sense, and that's pretty cool. But on the other hand, like I'm sitting into the chat right now, let's just gaze at this guy for a second though. At the main character Ash, not the main character, at the main character's friend Ash. Like, this is a great design. Okay, it doesn't have to, even if it's not just like the default or whatever. Like, he's just wearing a tank top. He's wearing jeans. He's wearing I'm guessing a jacket tied around his waist, but it's a cool little checkered jacket. But then he's got these cool sneaks and these cool armbands, probably like workout sweat armbands, and they match. They're both green. He's that guy has style. And frankly, I think that if gamers were a little bit less gamers, they'd be able to look at this guy and be like, no, that's a great character design, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the plain clothes feel that Final Fantasy has hung out in since the last time everyone had buckles was in Final Fantasy 13, which is over a decade ago now. So yeah,
basically, Tetsuya Nomura doesn't listen to what anyone else wants. He is honestly an author of the highest caliber. Like, he is one of the most important artists in the field of video games, and we are blessed to have him.
Yes.
And it's amazing how that's the fact, even though Kingdom Hearts sucks. Don't at me.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. Kingdom Hearts, I do think it sucks from the ones that I've played. I'm sure that maybe they get better. But and it is true that Tetsuya Nomura, the game director / designer, is different than Tetsuya Nomura, the character designer. And I think he's definitely better at one of those than he is at the other. But even as the game director / designer, the man has a vision. You cannot say he does not have a vision, and that he does not make absolutely insane horseshit in service of his extremely idiosyncratic vision of what a fun video game is.
And I mean, he co-directed Final Fantasy VII Remake, so
that's true.
That's an amazing game.
I've got a feeling that probably is just him having his name on it because he's so important and beloved. Like, I don't know how the development of that game actually went, but like, the other guy was the guy who's been responsible for so many great games lately, and the other guy whose name I'm blanking on was the guy who like was largely in charge of like the FF13 series and other stuff. And it's like that if you look at the games that guy has made, you're like, okay, FF7 Remake is clearly made by the same has the same head guy, right? It's got a lot of the same preoccupations, ignoring of course the fact that games are made by teams, of course, and it's all a team effort. But like, yeah, part of me sees the Tetsuya Nomura thing in that director role, and I'm like, I feel like you probably just have your name on that.
Yeah, I love Nomura, including Kingdom Hearts. I cried it several times in Kingdom Hearts 3. But
I cry every time I play Kingdom Hearts 1.
But
because it's so bad.
But he also, his other brainchild is World of Final Fantasy, which is phenomenal, and it feels
and the world ends with you.
True, but World of Final Fantasy specifically feels like the good parts of Kingdom Hearts, which is awesome, and everyone should play it. But maybe we'll play it for when our Square moratorium is over, because it's a weird ass side game. So that's
anyway. In conclusion, more like Stranger of Drip on account of the outfits.
Yeah, no, they are no stranger to drip.
So let us listen to some more music. There was quite a few really good ones this week.
The music on Hephaestus is so good.
Yeah, it really is.
So we'll listen to that, and then we will talk about our memorable moments. Anywho, memorable moments. What do you guys have?
So there's this cute thing about how since Mystech has awakened, which we don't have a clear idea of how long it's been since that happened, but since Mystech has awakened, I think since then, maybe before then, anyway, Hephaestus is like hyper commercialized, and the Mysterium is selling a bunch of shit. Like, they're selling Mystech, they're selling t-shirts and stuff, and like when you try to go to the tower, he doesn't let you in, but he's like, but you can have a t-shirt, and he has this cute animation of holding up a t-shirt and waving it at you. And so I talked to some Mystech sellers, and I talked to one of them, and he seemed pretty upset about the fact that he was having to sell Mystech. He was like, I can't believe I've been reduced to this. But I look at his wares, and I decide I don't want anything, so I close the window, and he says, "You've made the right choice. Buying Mystech is sacrilege."
He says, selling Mystech.
Oh, he's saying like buying it is sacrilege. Like maybe it's supposed to be, like not commercialized or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found it really funny that there's this cute little dialogue for if you look at what he has to buy, but
and then don't
buy
pick anything. Yeah, that is nice.
Other than that, I don't know. Not much happened. I really liked the ending scene where it's cutting between Boots talking to the Grand Mysterium and Boots talking to the party. It's really well done.
In addition to what Bernard was saying, another guy says that basically, before the Mystech became active, like the Brotherhood still existed, but they were just like a weird cult who was into Mystech, and everyone was like they still were kind of popular, but that like they were. I mean, they were a cult hawking bullshit that was all made up. Like they're like, buy this Mystech, it's amazing, and then they would trick people into doing it. And then now it's like, oh, turns out that the weird cult / snake oil salesman who have all the Mystech, turns out the Mystech does do something actually. That's a lucky coincidence, which is quite cute. Yeah, so one of the stores you go to is called Ed's House of Crap, which is just a nice name for a place.
Got all types of crazy crap.
Exactly. Reminds me of the line from Space Funeral where
look at all this worthless shit, Ed.
Look at all this worthless shit. Yeah, exactly. Also, at one point, we find out that the Mysterium has been cutting their Mystech with other stuff. Because this one guy said that he bought some Mystech, but it turns out it now makes him bleed bubbles. And he's constantly got like little bubbles coming out of him, and he's like, "Yeah, I just bleed, and the blood turns into bubbles now. I'm hoping this is temporary." So apparently, in order to get, they're diluting the Mystech by putting in like baby powder or cocaine or something into their Mystech. So bad on them. What do you got, Sam?
So there's a playable arcade. I only dabbled because I was sprinting, but I really love when games have a playable arcade, even if the games are bad. I like the idea of like having diegetic mini games instead of only having stupid ass mini games.
Yep.
But
sadly, you don't get to play Outrun, so this game is not as good as Shenmue.
Another thing that I really liked is last week Bernard shared that there's a speed up button, which is on /, and I have on my computer the program Auto Hotkey, which lets you remap your entire everything. And so I remapped / to the button on the side of my mouse. So I now have, as if I were playing a modern day remake of an old Final Fantasy game, shitload speed all the time, and it's great. And I recommend doing that because the worst thing about this game is just the super slow animations, and so speed that shit up, and it helps me get caught up to basically where we were after not playing it all last week. So that owns. But other things that I really liked this week. So I'm playing with the AI upscale mod. So the t-shirts say they have a big like the Brotherhood symbol is like a 8-9 pointed star, something like that. It's a bunch of points on it, and underneath it says "I saw Hephaestus," which I liked. But let's see.
Well, I got another one.
Go ahead.
A character. There's a nun. The nuns have really good outfits in this game.
The nuns are hot.
The nuns, well, like, yeah, they're hot. But that's not just me being a lesbian. Like, the monks have very boring monk outfits, and the nuns have like nun outfits that are also really, really cool looking. It's kind of unfair. The monks need to step up their game. But yeah, this nun is talking about how she's so excited to join the Brotherhood of Mystech or whatever. And someone's like, wait a second, they let women join the Brotherhood? And I'm like, hey, as someone who is also in a brotherhood, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, it is totally fine for women to join brotherhoods. I felt seen.
Yeah.
There's also another guy who bought some Mystech, and he talks about how you shouldn't buy Mystech here because he bought some Mystech here, and it, as soon as he tried to use it, it transported him to a random place on some faraway planet. And he's like, what if it had been an uninhabited planet? What if I'd been transported into empty space? So I came back here to complain about this Mystech. And besides, look how weird it looks. And then he immediately disappears.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Sam, you forgot to mention the whole gimmick of this planet. So instead of being really into, like, fake bad parliamentary procedure or being into other stuff, the thing about Hephaestus is that they all yammer the same way that Grumpo yammers. And in fact, early on, you can use yammer on somebody. I don't remember if this is a required scene or an optional scene, but
I didn't yammer on anyone.
The only yammering I did was to get the good weapon for Grumpos.
Yeah, at one point I was trying to achieve a goal early on, like, you know, one of the fetch quests, and I tried using yammer on somebody, and Grumpo yammers, and then they're like, okay. However, I did notice one thing you said when you were talking just now. So you got this thing wrong, and blah blah blah, and then they yammer back at him for like 4 more pages of dialogue, and Grumpo is like totally taken aback, like, uh-oh. And then they have this whole scene where basically like they teach him some more yammer techniques, and I don't think it matters mechanically. It's just like they just teach him more yammering. But yeah, like everyone on this planet goes on for like ages when they explain shit, especially a lot of the optional dialogue. The required dialogue, they keep it a little bit more concise because that would be annoying. But yeah, no, it's just that's why I said it's yet another planet of people who are really annoying. But I had a really good time with it. The impression, of course, is that, you know, Grumpo is a scientist guy who's into Mysterium. He kind of looks like a wizard. These people are monks. There's a connection there, right? They're both weirdo mystics who are into yammering. Let's not think about the stereotypes being deployed there. But yeah, no, it's a good time.
So I remember the one that cracked me up, and I loved it. So you finish the whole detectiving thing, which, by the way, the fact that it's super like randomized each time is awesome. Like, I just went and I looked at the screenshot LP on the LP archive, and theirs is completely different, and it's not just their locations are changed, but like the people are changed, the evidence that you find is like tailored for each of the different people that could have done it and stuff like that. And that's super cool. I love when games are pointlessly like complex like that. So but when you finish all of that and you go talk to the abbot, and he's like, "Oh dear, you smell like a Brebulin brothel." And Boots is like, "Hey, don't talk about how I smell. Like, I did the thing for you. You have to do me. So what I need access to is a library and a stick of deodorant." And it tickled me pink that he did stinky. But I think that's all that I've got. Besides, there's a bunch of kids all over the place that are just like playing with Mistech and causing a ruckus, which I thought was really cute as well.
Oh, and a kid in the arcade who is like, "I'm sick of these retro games. The graphics suck." And I'm like, you know what, kid? You're right.
Oh, I just remembered. I didn't write this down, so I'm not sure how accurate it'll be. But one of the arcade machines is called Pooper, and there's a little kid crying in front of it. And I talked to him, and he said it won't stop pooping. And there's an adult next to him, and I talked to the adult, and the adult said, maybe we should put in a quarter. And yeah,
I like that. I hate it, but I like that I hate it. But yeah, that's the last of what I got. Big recommend to either having someone press the backslash for you while you're walking around, or mapping it to your mouse so that you can zoom and play this game. I really enjoyed that. And you don't have to do any of the cheat codes. I did do the cheat codes because I ran up against a door where I needed somebody's improved world skill, and I didn't feel like going to find it, so I just put in the cheat codes to increase my world skill. But you don't have to do the cheat codes to go fast. So go fast. I believe in you. But that will do it for the week. If you liked what you heard today, you can hit us up on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate to keep the lights on and vote on our polls to decide what games we play. We use our goals on Ko-Fi to unlock our shortcast and longcast. We just finished a shortcast of The Last of Us, which ruled, and we're about to dive into a long cast of Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy, which may or may not rule.
Ooh, news for everyone. You might have seen on the news the video games this week. That was a sentence. You might have seen on the news, the video games this week. They finally added FF13 to Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I never actually used the money that Sam sent me to buy FF13, but now I might just use it for some Game Pass so that I can play that, as well as the only other reason anyone should buy an Xbox One, Panzer Dragoon Orta. And Phantom Dust.
Yes. But yeah, if everyone who donates also gets access to our Book Club no Kaseki episodes with me and Bernard and our sweet son Matt, where we are playing the longest of longcasts, where we play a little bit of the Kaseki game every 2 weeks, and that'll take us about 4 or 5 years to finish. So come check those out. And otherwise, I think that's it. So next week, we will be playing until I think we have about three left. So let's do so it looks like we will go to the surface of a planet we have visited before that is an extended Star Wars reference. And we will leave that planet. So on our way towards trying to get to Olympus, we will end up on revisiting a planet on accident, and we will leave that planet and continue back on our way to get to Olympus next week.
Did we actually ever say that the Grand Mysterium told us to go to Olympus, the planet of death?
We did not. I forgot about that. But yes, that is where we are headed next. To kill chaos, we must go to Olympus, the planet of death.
Where everyone dies if they go there. So, cool.
Can't wait to die. So, yeah, that's where we'll stop next week for RPG Book Club. I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I'm Maddy Grace Webbin.
Toodaloo, folks. For an extra 20 minutes, guys, because we finished this week in like 2.
Yep. Yeah, nothing much happens on Hephaestus.
Yeah, like one crucial plot scene happens. Like I was saying, if it was a other week, we would be like, so we go to Hephaestus and we do some stuff and then find out blah, 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 blah. And the rest would just be.
But it's like, no, that's the game, folks.
Yeah, the whole quest of finding out who stole the shit is not worth talking about for more than a sentence.
And I had to vamp on it for 20 minutes.
Yes.